Welcome to Honeypot Lane in Stanmore, not far from where I live, and I'm just picking up on these rail replacement buses all parked along the side of the road waiting to go and take people to act as a replacement for trains that are not working. So it's an unusual sight seeing all these buses all lined up on the side of the road. That's not the reason for the video. The reason for the video is here. And this is sort of like a follow-up to the video I did previously about the site over in Stanmore near Cannon's Corner, where there used to be a government site of offices that was initially put up, I think, for as an extension of Bletchley Park, the sort of code-breaking centre. So here on Honeypot Lane is a site which is now called Stanmore Place, and it was developed in the from around about sort of 2008-9 onwards. It was eventually finished by about 2016-17. Took a while, but this site was originally a government office site, which is very similar in the way that it was built to the site over at Cannon's Corner. And it could very well have been put up originally as a code-breaking extension, but in the end it was just used for government offices, for things like the Department of Transport used it as it was, the Ministry of Transport for the issuing of road tax, etc., but also where teachers' pay was done. And I know that because my mother used to tell me. She was a teacher for a while and her pay used to be done here. It's worth picking up on these lines of trees. Now, I may have done a video about this before, but this line of trees, I believe, was actually an entrance in to the site. So it could very well have had a fence along the side of it, but it acted as a little sort of walkway for people who worked here to get into the site. But these trees are obviously grown. But it's a little sort of avenue of trees, and so there has to be a purpose for it. They weren't put in at the time of the developments of Stanmore Place, so it's almost certainly what they were done for. You see here there's a stream, and I think this is the Edgware Brook. Always get confused between this and the Wheelstone Brook, but it's Edgware Brook. As you can see there. You see the sign. It says Stanmore Place, and this road's called Howard Road. It sort of links in with a road which is a bit further along, and I think it's linked in with sort of historical characters. There's a lot of historical character names, sort of British historical names on this site. So this gives you an idea of the layout of part of it. This lake wasn't here originally. They put it in as a flood scheme. So they've done this to a lot of developments in recent years across the country. It's just to act as a sort of water trap for flooding, because this effectively was marshland originally. In fact, Stanmore Marsh is just a bit further on. So it acts as a sort of ornamental feature. It has sort of degenerated over the years. There's more vegetation that's grown on the side. But, you know, it's used by ducks and geese and stuff like that. So, I mean, to be honest with you, there's not a great deal of stuff to really show you, because all the original site was cleared off years ago, but it was low scale stuff, and it's done in sort of linear form, and as I said, it would have been for various government usage over the years. And just like the other video I did, which is equally as dull, I will try and put some links in to show you some pictures of the site as it was, which will be almost certainly Britain from above pictures, Aerofilms pictures that were taken in the 1950s. So all of this development has offices above it, and then below there are a couple of retail units. There's a nursery at the end, As I was saying about the names, we have Victoria Court, Regency Court, Sovereign Court, so it's all to do with giving it sort of fancy names. Monarch Court over here. But the developer that put this up was Bletchley Homes, but it was originally like a subsection of that company called St Edward. So you can see how all this sort of naming took place. These are small olive bushes, which have done quite well over the years. And quite a nice little view across the lake with the winter sun setting in the distance. And that's where I was over there by the trees before. So yes, I would like to be able to show you something slightly more interesting than a 2010s housing development. But as I said, there is no trace of what was here before it cleared the site off. So there we go, I'll finish that one off and thank you for watching.